In the movie The 6888, we witness the incredible story of the predominantly black all-women's 6,888th Central Postal Directory Battalion and their overlooked contributions to the World War II effort. At the heart of it all was their commanding officer, Charity Adams, the first black woman commissioned as an officer in the U.S. military, who fought sexism and racism to shatter barriers and play a vital role in the war effort. History's Most Fascinating Figures, Part 37. Charity Edna Adams was born on December 5, 1918, in Kittrell, North Carolina, the oldest of 4 children, in a deeply religious and education-focused household. Her father, a Baptist minister, and her mother, a teacher, instilled in her a strong sense of discipline, resilience, and determination. When the family moved to Columbia, South Carolina, Charity had to navigate the harsh realities of Jim Crow segregation. Despite these challenges, she excelled academically, graduating 2 years early as valedictorian of her high school class. Adams continued her education at Wilberforce University, a historically black college in Ohio. She majored in math, Latin, and physics. After graduating in 1938, she returned to South Carolina to teach math and science to junior high students while pursuing summer courses at Ohio State University to work toward her master's degree. But the outbreak of World War II soon changed her path. In May 1942, as the U.S. mobilized for World War II, the Army established the Women's Auxiliary Army Corps, WAAC, a groundbreaking program that opened the door for women to serve in non-combat roles. That June, Adams applied to join. While en route to summer classes at Ohio State University, her bus was stopped and she was handed orders to report for duty. In July, Adams arrived at Fort Des Moines, Iowa, to begin training as part of the first WAAC officer candidate class. Fort Des Moines held historical significance, having trained the first black officers during World War I. However, it was also where Adams first encountered the Army's strict segregation policies. On the train to the fort, Adams and the other 39 black women in the class began bonding with their white peers. Yet within an hour of arriving, the Army segregated the black and white candidates, assigning them to separate living quarters. Despite these challenges, Adams excelled. She graduated in August, becoming the first black officer in the WAAC. She was assigned to lead the 3rd Company, 3rd Training Regiment, which consisted of 2 white platoons and 1 black platoon. The following year, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed legislation converting the WAAC into the Women's Army Corps, or WAC, officially integrating it into the U.S. Army and allowing women to serve overseas. Adams continued to thrive, serving as a station control officer and staff training officer, and that year was promoted to major, making her one of the highest-ranking women in the WAAC and the highest-ranking officer at Fort Des Moines. By 1944, despite the WAAC's integration into the Army, black women were still limited to stateside roles, while white women were serving overseas. This discrepancy drew attention from black newspapers and civil rights leaders, including Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, a close advisor to President Roosevelt and close friend of First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, advocated for equal opportunities for black women. Bethune's efforts, alongside the NAACP, pressured the government to provide meaningful assignments for black women serving. Around the same time, the Battle of the Bulge created a critical need for improved morale among troops. Supply lines were strained and mail delivery had fallen behind, leaving soldiers disconnected from their loved ones. Recognizing the importance of mail-to-troop morale, the Army sought a solution, and an opportunity arose for black women to serve overseas. In response, the Army formed the 6,888th Central Postal Directory Battalion, nicknamed the 6888. This 855-member unit, comprised predominantly of black women with a few Hispanic women, was tasked with clearing a backlog of 17 million pieces of mail in Europe. The battalion was led by Major Charity Adams. After completing basic training in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, Adams and her unit departed for Britain on February 3, 1945. Despite needing to take evasive action after several encounters with German U-boats, they arrived safely in Glasgow on February 12th and were transported to Birmingham, where they faced appalling conditions. The warehouses were infested with rats, filled with rotting mail and exposed to freezing temperatures. The women also endured the constant threat of German V-1 rocket attacks. Adams' leadership was instrumental in their success. She organized the battalion into 4 companies, each with specific responsibilities, and further divided them into 3 shifts to ensure the operation ran 24/7. Their slogan, "No mail, low morale," captured the urgency of their mission. Unlike other WAAC units, the 688 operated as a self-sufficient battalion, handling roles typically assigned to male counterparts, including security, medical care, and administrative support. Despite facing racism and sexism from male soldiers, both black and white, Adams stood her ground. During one infamous encounter, Major Adams stopped a general from inspecting the private quarters where some women were sleeping. All other personnel were, as instructed, in formation for inspection. The general berated Major Adams for the absence of some of the troops. She attempted to clarify that her personnel had a good reason for not being there. They had worked the overnight shift and needed rest to ensure they stayed on schedule. The general threatened her by saying, "I'm going to send a white first lieutenant down here to show you how to run this unit." Without hesitation, Adams responded, "Over my dead body, sir." The general threatened to court-martial her for disobeying orders. She then began to file charges against him for using language stressing racial segregation and ignoring a directive from Allied headquarters, but ultimately they both dropped the matter. The 688 cleared the massive mail backlog in just 3 months, processing an astounding 195,000 pieces of mail per day. Their success led to their reassignment in May 1945 to Rouen, France, where they tackled another backlog, some dating back 3 years. Again, they completed the mission in half the expected time. After their mission was complete, Adams encountered the general, who tried to replace her in Birmingham. Since that encounter, they developed a better working relationship. Before he returned home, he paid her an unannounced visit, telling her, "It's not easy for me to say what I've come to say. Working with you has been quite an education for me. It's been a long time since anyone challenged me, black or white, but you took me on, you outsmarted me, and I am proud that I know you." After completing their mission, the 688 was disbanded. Adams was promoted to lieutenant colonel, making her the highest-ranking black woman in the army at the time. She was reassigned to the Pentagon before leaving the military in 1946. In 1949, Adams married Stanley Early. The couple lived in Switzerland while Stanley completed medical school before settling in Dayton, Ohio, where they raised 2 children. Adams earned a master's degree in psychology from Ohio State University and later worked in education, holding leadership roles at Tennessee State University and Savannah State University. Adams remained active in her community, serving on various boards and volunteering for numerous organizations. In 1989, she published her autobiography, One Woman's Army, ensuring the story of the 688 would not be forgotten. On January 13, 2002, Charity Adams Early passed away at the age of 83. Despite her contributions, Adams' story and that of the 688 remained largely overlooked for decades. In recent years, their legacy has gained the recognition it deserved. In 2021, the U.S. Senate unanimously passed legislation to award the Congressional Gold Medal to all members of the 688, which was accepted by the surviving members in 2022. In 2023, the Department of Defense renamed Fort Lee to Fort Gregg Adams after Lieutenant General Arthur J. Gregg and Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams. In a time when both her gender and race were seen as obstacles, she proved that excellence knows no bounds. As Netflix brings the story of the 688 to life, let's remember the woman who led them, the one and only Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams. As always, don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button. Your support helps this channel grow, allowing us to bring you even more incredible stories. If you enjoyed this video, we release new episodes weekly, so click the bell icon so you never miss a future video. This is UnRecalled History. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.